Well, unfortunately, we have to announce that DeMarcus has suffered a fracture to the fifth metatarsal in his right foot. He will undergo season-ending surgery on Friday morning. So obviously, I'm devastated and heartbroken for DeMarcus. It's a really sad way to see his playing career here end on the first possession of the game on senior night, with so many family and friends here to celebrate the night with him. But it's been a real privilege to coach DeMarcus. He's a great teammate, very well respected in the locker room, has been a critical part of our program these last 2.5 years. We're going to be here to support him in every way possible as he makes a full recovery this spring. And he has an incredibly bright future ahead of him on and off the basketball court. And can't stress enough just what a privilege it's been to coach him. And we look forward to supporting him as he gets back to 100%.
How does your rotation change with DeMarcus?
We'll have to evaluate it this week in practice. G will slide into that spot. And then as far as substitutions off the bench, we'll see how the week of practice plays out.
How did he handle it?
Well, I mean, he's crushed, and rightfully so. He's invested a lot in this. He's a critical part of our team. And you hate to see anybody ever get injured, but just the timing of it, with it being senior night, with it being in the middle of a division race and so on and so forth, just it's heartbreaking. It's a really tough situation for him, but he's a strong young man, really special, and he will come back strong from it.
I'm sure you've reviewed the tape. I just don't remember seeing anything happen. He quietly comes off the court. What happened?
Yeah, it was first possession of the game on a drive in the middle of the lane. He made a little pro hop step move into the paint, and just the landing on the film, I don't think he landed on someone else's foot. It's not clear, but just the landing there, he injured it, and he tried to play a couple possessions and just said there was no way he could go. Just I hate it for him. I really do. He's a lot of fun to coach. He's just means so much to our team. But like I said, I think our guys will really rally around him because of the respect that they have for him.
This is heading into the most critical part of the entire season, and you really haven't faced much adversity as far as major injuries with this team this year, and this happens heading into this final week. What can this do, or what does it do you think, to this team's psyche? Because obviously they have to be prepared for these two games. Right.
Well, we just need guys to step up. I think everybody's got to step up and do more, from players to coaches. We got to step up and do more and fill the void that DeMarcus leaves on the floor, both at the offensive and defensive end. So I think that's the short answer is every man in that locker room has to step up and do more.
As far as this season has gone, you guys are at 500, and this week doesn't get any bigger. How do you tell your team that there's 29 years of history of keeping not only a 500 record, but also trying to win the West on the road? How do you manage that in the locker room?
Well, I think they're well aware of all those things. They're aware of the three-way tie for first as we enter the last two games with all three teams playing each other. I think everybody knows what's on the line. I think the key thing for us is that we spend these 3 days of practice really making the adjustments that we need to make with the loss of DeMarcus, and focus on getting our team ready to play and ready to win on Thursday night. And I think that needs to be the only focus that we have right now.
For the last game against SEMO, it was obviously a close game like most of your games this year. Have you looked at the film, know what adjustments you need to make coming into Thursday?
Right. Well, if you look back at the game, a couple things that stand out. We were efficient offensively. We shot over 50% from the floor. But we had a stretch early in the second half where we had critical turnover after critical turnover that led to easy baskets in transition for SEMO that really changed the flow of the game. It was also our worst performance of the year from the free throw line. We struggled at the line that night, which hurt us. And then we struggled with Mahoney, the very talented freshman, at SEMO. He was very, very effective off the dribble. Didn't shoot the ball from 3 as well as he normally does, but he really gave us problems off the bounce and had a very efficient night.
With that being said, DeMarcus was always kind of one of those guys that guarded teams' better defenders. Who's going to have to step up in that role to fill that spot?
Well, I think G. McGee and Bryce Jones are the first two that'll really step forward there. And I think when you see Mahoney playing at the 4, he's really a 3-man playing at the 4. You know, Terrell Miller's going to have to step up in that role. Gilbert Thomas, whoever's in at the 4 at that time, is going to have to be able to step forward and do a good job defensively.
I guess when you look at kind of how everything can play out, I mean, I think, is there a scenario that they don't make the tournament? Is that what Kyle said?
There is a scenario.
Okay. I mean, you can be the 2 seed or out of the tournament. I mean, how do you approach that this week? I mean, do you even think about that at all?
Well, I think you have to understand the big picture of everything, and we always talk to our guys about that. But as I was telling Ed, I just think our whole focus right now, you can't worry about the big picture per se. I think we've got to be locked into making these adjustments, style of play-wise, that are going to benefit us due to DeMarcus's injury. And then we just have to get better these 3 days of practice. And every man needs to step forward and step up to the challenge so we can go on the road and find a way to beat a SEMO team that's playing very well.
You were talking about adjusting your style of play. And I know last year, due to being short of guys at the end of the season, you had to play slower than you wanted to. Will this necessitate you guys playing at a slower pace?
I think we have to evaluate it this week in practice. You know, we have, for the most of the conference season, have led the league in tempo as far as the most possessions per game. I think we probably have to chop that down some. But we'll have to evaluate in practice what combinations are going to be best, what's going to give us the best opportunity to win this week.
As far as three-point shooting is concerned, I felt like maybe that was the only statistic that you guys ended up losing that battle in against EIU. Is that something that you obviously work on this week?
Well, I think it's always a critical stat. If you study college basketball, who wins the three-point line is usually very successful. And you don't have to win it per se, but there was such a discrepancy there that they make 15 threes at 50%. We only made 4 at 20%. You know, a difference in 33 points there behind the arc, and obviously that determined the outcome of the game. I thought, to their credit, 8 of the 15 were 24 feet and beyond. I thought they hit some really difficult shots, but I thought they got in a rhythm. We had some defensive breakdowns in the first half where they knocked down some open ones, and then in the second half they hit some really difficult shots. From our standpoint, we've got to shoot the ball better. I think we went 1 for 11 in the second half. We're unable to knock down some open opportunities there in Saturday night's loss.
You guys came out in the second half with a 7-0 run and kept the pressure up for the first 3 minutes. Do you feel like those second half woes are over as far as the starts are concerned?
No, I mean, obviously you don't want to be in that position where a 7-0 run only cuts a lead in half to start the second. But I thought we came out playing very well. We executed. We got some assists. I thought that was a big thing. When I look at the stats, the previous 2 games we had 38 assists. Saturday night we only had 5. I thought we failed to knock down some open looks, but we didn't move the ball. We just weren't as sharp offensively. And when a team's shooting the ball the way EIU is, you have to be able to match some of that scoring. The previous 5 games we were averaging 90 points a game. And then to come out and just score 65 and only 5 assists with a EIU team shooting the way they were, just wasn't going to be good enough.
With losing Croker, do you expect more minutes, obviously, for guys like Jakai and Jeremy, who hadn't played a lot lately, and even, I guess, Griffin off the bench?
Yeah, I think it's early to tell. I really just think we've got to put a lot of emphasis in practice this week and evaluating some different combinations, see who plays well, see who's ready to step forward and who earns these minutes in the next 3 days of practice.